Hello, we are listening to the Creighton Prep Sports Radio by Joey Machado, and alongside of me I have.
Noah Wagner.
And Evan English.
Today we'll be giving a short preview of the 2016 Creighton Prep track team. We'll be looking back on moments from last year and interviews from athletes on last year's team and this year's team. We will also be previewing this year's team and giving our predictions for the upcoming season. We will be hearing interviews from John Richter and Chase Alberts. Each athlete is excited for this upcoming season, looking to go back-to-back. Chase was on the team last year, and John Richter this is his first year going to be running track. I think both have high expectations for the team because of how last year they went back-to-back, and then just trying to kind of avenge the cross-country team and how they were unable to make state. All right, so going on from that, so Evan, what are your thoughts for this year's team, or predictions of what will happen for this year's track team?
Joey, I think we have a really good looking team this year. We have a well-rounded group of experienced guys who are all hungry for a state championship. They did it last year, and there's no reason to doubt they can do it again this year. Sure, we lost a few seniors and transfers, but the core talent of this team is all back, looking to avenge that poor taste in their mouth from state cross country. Prep hasn't always been considered a powerhouse track program, but the coaches and athletes are looking to change that and put Prep on the map as a contender in yet another sport. This season will prove as crucial to whether Prep will stay competitive and relevant in track and even cross country in the future. It'll definitely be interesting to see. Noah, what are your thoughts on this team for this year?
Personally, Evan, I think that Prep's an underdog this season. We lost a lot of seniors last year and some big names such as John Nouns, Jeremiah Stovall, and Tristan Ducker. And Tristan kind of surprised everyone and transferred to Bellevue West for football reasons so he can play South Dakota. But these are just a few of many talented athletes. But there's a lot of talent coming back for track this season, a lot of which are very talented and could lead us to a state championship, such as John Lukowski, James Warren, Cedric Lee, and some new incoming talent such as John Richter. I think that people underestimate Prep's track talent this year, and those consistently good track programs such as Kearney Central and Millard West. Millard West, by the way, won cross-country state championship by quite a few points. A lot of those teams are going to overlook Prep, and I think this is going to be might be not our best year from the media standpoint, but I think that we still have the potential and capability of winning a state championship. But a lot of our athletes are multi-sport athletes, such as former football players, basketball players, and those cross-country athletes too, are all on this track team. I think this year's senior class will do really well as well with those names I mentioned earlier. And I think our best events for this year or at least one of them, is our 4x200 team. All of the guys that I mentioned and more are huge contributors as well as leaders for this year's track team.
Alongside of me, I have one of the runners that we were going to interview, John Richter, and this is his first year running track for Creighton Prep. So I guess, John, my first question for you would be, what events are you a part of?
Well, this year I'm running in the 400s, 200s. This past weekend I ran in the second leg, 200 in the sprint medley at the Millard North Relays.
Awesome. So I guess my next question would be for you. For as a whole for this year, what are your goals? What are your personal goals for this season?
Well, my personal goal, I like to dream a little big, and it's my first year running track. But I want to run the state track meet this year. I think that would be an awesome experience. There's tons of people that go out. It's the best of the best. I think that'd be awesome to do, and whichever event would really work for me. As a team, I would say, I guess a goal probably to repeat this year. I know it's certainly going to be much harder than last year. Wasn't really part of it last year, but I know we did lose some key contributors such as John Nouns and Jeremiah Stovall.
Awesome, yeah. So I guess what would you think, or what team or what school poses the biggest threat for this season?
Being a new runner, I'm not super sure which schools are the strongest this year, but I do know that Millard West won cross country this year, so I'm going to assume that they have some pretty good distance runners.
Mm-hmm. So other than yourself at practices, like who have stood out thus far, like who would you say like has stood out like as like anyone else that you've kind of like noticed or like been looking around during the practices?
For myself, I'm running the mid distance varsity guys in practice, and probably the guy that at least pushes me to work the hardest would be John Carlisle. I know he was like 2 seconds away from making state last year as a sophomore. So he's with some guys gone. I know he's really been stepping up to contribute the best he can.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's good for him. So I guess like next would be how do you see yourself contributing to this team other than like making the goal of winning the state this year?
Well, hopefully, I'm an optimistic kind of guy, so hopefully I can bring some charisma, some fun cheers. Hopefully, I can help my teammates be the best that they can be.
All right. So then my next one would be, do you have any interest in running track next year, or like even like kind of any sports next year?
Like any sports in general.
I'd say any sport, yeah, anything like other than track. 'Cause I know you're part of the football team this year too, and I know you tried out for soccer, but we're not able to do that. But
yeah. Well, interest. I mean, I have somewhat of an interest, but I know it's not really realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And like college sports are very difficult in comparison to high school, so I'll most likely be pursuing my academic interests in college next year. I'm currently undecided, but I'll be figuring that out within the month. I know Coach Yost wanted me to look at some of a few smaller football schools, and I mean I looked into that a little bit, but I decided that really wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my final question to kind of wrap this up. So I guess I want to know, and like I guess anyone else wants to know, why did you try out for this team, other than possibly going out for the back-to-back, I guess, for state championships?
Yeah, I mean that would be awesome if we could do that, but it's my last year at prep. I've always been involved with sports throughout my time here, and senior year is the first time I wasn't able to do 3. So since soccer didn't work out, I was like, well, I want to stay fit. I want to stay part of my school. I know it's a healthy way to be involved with like my classmates and stuff. So I want to see what I could do with track. Finish out my senior year with hopefully on a positive note.
That was John Richter's thoughts on this year's track team. Here's an interview of a returner, Chase Albert, and what he thinks about this year's team. Okay, so Chase, as a senior now on the team, I guess my first question for you is, what events are you doing this year?
So right now I'm specializing in high jump, and I've also started triple jumping again, which is an event I did a little bit sophomore and junior year, but I'm getting started in that again.
That's awesome. So I guess this year, different from last year, I suppose, from winning the state championship. What are your goals? What are your personal goals, and then what are the team goals for this year?
So my personal goals, last year I got 9th at state. I jumped 6'2", and that was a personal best at the time. And this year I've already jumped 6'2" again, and this summer I made 6'4". So I would say my personal goal is to, 1, place top 5 at state, and 2, I'd say probably to jump 6'4", possibly 6'6".
Oh man. Okay, so I guess next thing after your own goals. So what are the team goals?
Obviously, I think our team goal is to repeat as state champions. We've already had 2 meets this year, and we got a second in the first meet and then first in the other. And I think we have a lot of guys coming back from last year's team that made state, and I think that we have a good chance to repeat. So
that's awesome to hear. So I guess next thing. So I know you just said you got first in one meet and second in the other. Who, in your opinion, poses as the biggest threat to you guys?
Last year the runner-up was Burke, and they really came out of nowhere. But they bring back a lot of people. They'll be a good team. Omaha North's always dangerous. They have really great sprinters, and a lot of their guys are underclassmen. So if not this year, next year they'll be really good as well.
So I guess so kind of just a recap from last year. I guess like what was the experience of winning state last year?
Well, I think at the beginning of the year, we really had no expectations. We're always looking to do the best that we can, but it wasn't until the first couple, I think after the fourth meet, when we had ended up winning like 6 in a row, and even winning the Kearney meet, which was a meet that Kearney had hosted and won for the last like 20 some years. And it was at that point when we realized, hey, we have something special going on right now, and I think we can take it all the way. And then we ended up winning state by a substantial margin. So that was a feeling of, a lot of hard work had gone into it, and then to be rewarded like that was just something that while it was awesome then, it just made us want it more next year.
That's awesome. So I guess so after winning state last year, was there like a substantial amount of numbers of people trying out for track this year since you guys won it last year?
There actually are like a couple more seniors that had done sports when they were sophomores and juniors, but then just didn't have a sport this year, and they decided they were going to go out. And then we usually have a couple baseball guys who always convert to the track. But I think, it's really attractive to join a program that's, won a state championship and then is going to challenge for another one. So I think that's definitely something that has made track a little more interesting.
Both of these interviews boosted my confidence in the track team. These guys seem highly motivated, and by some of the latest results from recent track meets, the team seems to be doing very well. John seems to be very optimistic and unsure about how the team will do this year, since it is his first year running. But Chase seems to be very confident about this year overall as a returner for the team. I have confidence the team will continue to do well in upcoming meets and hopefully take state.
It's been great hearing from all of our athletes and analysts here today, and I, as well as my co-hosts, can all agree this track season is going to be a great one. We have an awesome group of experienced and talented young guys that all want their hands on yet another state championship this season. The potential of a state championship is always an exciting thing, and the fact we have the opportunity to go back-to-back is even more exciting. Prep has been a powerhouse in so many sports throughout the years. The thought of becoming a dynasty in yet another sport is an amazing thing and something that can very well be achieved. This season is crucial to the future of prep track, and I know our athletes have what it takes to make prep the best this year and for many years to come. I hope you enjoyed our podcast today, and we wish the track team good luck this season. Thanks for listening.